all for tuning in to this edition of El Cafecito. With us today, we have Daniela Gonzalez, the academic advisor for the Department of Engineering. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good as well. And I'm Aaron Espinoza, Inclusion and Engagement Leader with the Multicultural and Student Activities programs. So let's go ahead and get started. So, first question, are you an early bird or a night owl?
Definitely a night owl. I am not a morning person at all.
No,
It's really hard for me to get up in the morning. So, yeah, definitely a night owl.
I can respect. I think, as college students, you kind of have to find that in the middle kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. Waking up at or being at work at 8 a.m. is hard.
Oh, yeah. So, would you say coffee or tea?
As long as it's iced, I don't care either way.
Right.
I have some iced coffee with me here today. So, I would say coffee today, I guess, but as long as it's iced, it's good
Oh,
either way.
so you're not much of a like hot coffee, hot tea person either.
No, not at all. It'll be like 30 degrees outside and you'll see me with some iced
Oh, wow.
coffee.
How do you stay motivated?
So I think right now it's definitely about finding the joy in the small things.
Uh,
Especially right now, it kind of seems like the world is falling apart around us.
mhm.
And so finding those small victories throughout the day, I think it's important to stay grounded. And, I think we're all kind of guilty of just going through routine sometimes or doing things out of habit. And so finding those small things throughout the day that make us smile is a good way to stay motivated.
Oh, most definitely. I like that. I like that a lot. Um, did your first car have a name? If so, what was their name?
I'm definitely not one to name inanimate objects like ever, so I don't think I ever had a name. And I also didn't have a car for a long time growing up, so I was on the Batamobile for a long
Okay.
time. So maybe that would be the name if I had one,
We've all had to use the Patamobile here from
right?
now.
You were born with them, so use them.
If you had your own late night talk show, who would you invite as your first guest?
I'm a big fangirl of so many people, so this is hard to to
Hard to
narrow
just pick one.
down. Like, right? But my number one would probably be Ed Sheeran. I love him. I'm a huge fan, so I would definitely want to interview him.
I'm not the biggest fan as a singer, but I would like to interview him as well. I think that
Oh my goodness, I'm about to end this
I
call right
like
now.
like what's wrong with you every time I was like, I don't know. Like it's not like that I don't like him, but I'm just kind of like, he just doesn't, doesn't do it for me.
Oh man, yeah. Well, I'm a huge fan, so I'm gonna let that slide.
Okay, just this time. Maybe I'll give him another shot.
Okay.
If you had to sing karaoke right now, what song would you choose? I guess this may kind of.
Right, maybe one of his songs. I would probably say Bohemian Rhapsody though. That's
Okay,
kind
yeah.
of my go-to. I love that song, and I feel like nobody can hate on that song. It's just
Oh,
a classic, and
it is. It's just
you know,
play it
do
and
all the voices, and yeah.
oh yeah. um, what would be the most surprising scientific discovery imaginable?
I would say maybe like time travel.
Yeah.
So like that'd be a good one. They just what is it? They just saw like the first picture of a black hole or something, and so maybe it's coming. I don't know, but I feel like time travel would be kind of cool.
I can definitely see us, making some big steps in, next 10 years or so. I think it'd be really cool.
Right? You never know.
What would be the title of your autobiography would be?
So for this one, I think I always think of like a Spanish phrase,
Uh-huh.
and it's ni de aquí ni de allá. So it's like I'm neither from here nor from there. And so I was born in Mexico and I grew up in the United States, and
Uh-huh.
so I've always felt kind of in between two cultures. It's like that scene in Selena when he's
Yeah.
like, you have to be more Mexican than the Mexican and more American than the Americans. So I feel like that phrase would be a good title, the ni de aquí ni de allá.
Oh, for sure. And with that being said, I can definitely see that, and my mother and my father, their generation was more focused about assimilation, and now it's really a big part of like, like not expanding, but like finding like your individuality and your roots. And like
Yes.
I can definitely see that, like going back and forth kind of thing. Like you need to be more of this, you need to be more of that.
Yeah, exactly. Like when I'm around my, family or when I'm around my friends, it's like
Uh,
balance.
oh yeah, a balance. That's a good way to say it. Um, what is your fondest memory?
So this is probably kind of like a nerdy thing, but when I was growing up, I used to love back to school shopping.
Uh-huh.
And even now, I love like office supplies and like shopping for all that. So, but going back, I remember like when school would start and like the school list would come out, I would get so excited and just be ready to get all my school supplies and get ready for back to school.
I can respect. I think there's something exciting about just like, something brand new, right?
Yeah,
I get
exactly,
excited. I
exactly.
get excited when I get new Tupperware, but that's me.
That's when you know you're growing up.
Yeah, I get excited when I get a new bowl.
For sure.
Um, did you love working from home, or would you rather be in the office? Or do you think there's a balance of both that you like the best of?
So it definitely took me a bit to get used to working from home. So I was not the biggest fan at first. I just feel like there's a lot of temptation at home. Like I have to like focus.
Uh-huh.
And so definitely my preference is still being in the office. But it is like a balance, like you said,
Yeah.
between those two things. Because sometimes it's nice, to work in your PJs all day. But for the most part, I would definitely prefer in office.
Yeah, I think, after 6 months of it, I was ready to be back too. And then I started realizing like, I can't wear shorts every day to work.
Yes, yeah. The work from home attire was my favorite.
That was probably the best part.
For sure.
How do you make decisions? Is it based by logic or your intuition?
I would say definitely logic for me, and sometimes even too much, if that makes sense, because I'm just like a classic overthinker. And so I have to like research and find reviews on everything before I make a decision on anything. So sometimes I wish I had a little bit more of just like going with my intuition right away, but I overthink a lot. So it would be logic.
That's good though. I mean, like you're always making informed decisions about what you do. I think.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, would you consider yourself a traveler or a homebody?
Oh, a homebody, 100%. Yeah, super homebody. I feel like trips and things with the right people are always fine.
Uh-huh.
It all depends on who you're with, but you can always find me at home. I'm always just chilling. Yeah, so if somebody wants to get me out of the house, it takes some convincing.
Uh, I'm one of those people. I'm like, what do I use as an excuse so I don't have to go?
Right? It's like that feeling when plans get canceled. You're like, yes. Yeah.
uh, what was your quarantine routine?
Oh my goodness. Nothing exciting, honestly. Just some panic here and there, trying to stay sane.
Yeah.
But it was kind of boring. Yeah, I kind of think of that scene from The Grinch. Have you seen The Grinch?
Yes, where he is.
When he's like making a list of the things he does, and he's like, dinner by myself today at 6:30. Can't cancel that again. Like that's kind of what comes to mind. So nothing exciting.
I definitely feel that. I think we all kind of got into that kind of like,
Right.
for me, it was definitely like days would blur. So I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, I already
yeah.
did that. No, I didn't. Today's Wednesday.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, for sure. I didn't know a day. It still feels weird to think back and you're like, we've almost been in this for like a year, and that's still weird.
I feel like it's still February. What's wrong?
Yeah, exactly. I'm not counting this year
Yeah,
for
no.
my birthday or anything. It didn't happen.
Have you completed anything on your bucket list?
Yes, I do. I have one tattoo. So
Yay!
So that was one thing because I'm a big weenie. So
Aw,
so I definitely would like another one, but again, I have a zero tolerance for
gotta have
like
balance.
physical pain. But that was a big thing, so that was good.
What was it, if you don't mind us
Yeah,
asking?
it's right here. It's a small elephant on my
Oh,
wrist.
that's so cute. I like that.
Yeah. So it was super quick.
Not at all. Was it as bad as you thought it would be?
No, not at all. It went by super quick, like way faster than I thought. So I think I was just panicking more than like thinking it was gonna hurt when it actually wasn't bad at all. But
Uh,
I could never get like a huge piece because I think that would really
hey,
hurt. So maybe just a lot of small ones.
that's fair. That's completely fair.
Yeah.
What is your favorite meal to cook and why?
Oh man, I'm not a big cook. I do not like
Oh,
the kitchen. I do like to bake though. So does
oh,
that count?
yeah, I think yeah, for sure.
Okay. Yeah, so I don't like to cook that much, but any like for holidays and stuff for my family, I'm always the one to bring desserts and make cakes and pies and cookies or whatever it is. So I do like baking.
That's awesome. I always make pumpkin bread around this time of year, and just like it doesn't
Mm.
2020 doesn't feel like it's been the year, so I haven't gotten to make pumpkin bread this year. It's so sad.
Oh man, yeah, I bet that's good. I love pumpkin bread.
Oh yes, it's a little bit of cream cheese spread.
Oh man, yeah, that gets me ready for the holidays.
Yes. What modern invention do you believe could be heavily improved upon given enough time and effort?
So I would have to say something with like technology. I feel like we still have so much to
Uh,
uncover.
uh,
There's so much you can do, but to be improved on, I would probably say like just internet access and Wi-Fi. I feel like there's a big disconnect in like the accessibility of it. I think obviously this past year has shown a lot of how many people don't have that, and to me it's like there's people in outer space like tweeting, but yet there's college students who don't have access to internet. Like to me that's just wild. So I think that would definitely be a big improvement, that we could bridge the gap in something like that.
that's crazy. It's crazy that you say that because you're right. Like given the current circumstances, we wouldn't have known really if what we didn't have.
Yeah, exactly. All this virtual learning, I think, for a lot of people was a big challenge. And like I said, there's the astronauts that go up there and they have like all this communication, but yet people on Earth like are
Can't,
struggling
yeah.
with something. So I'm like, that to me, there's something right there
Oh yeah.
that somebody a lot smarter than me could probably figure out.
When was the last time you were stumped by a problem? Then how did you go about solving it?
So this one, I don't know. I feel like I'm trying to think of a problem that's not like,
Uh-huh.
you know,
Yeah.
like too big. Maybe just like a small, I always say like first world problems every day, it's not really a problem, but you're like frustrated, like
Yeah.
the line at Starbucks is too long, so I have to make coffee at home or something like that. So it kind of brings me back down to earth. Sometimes you're like, oh, that's not really a problem.
Yeah. No, for me, it was definitely like, I think I utilized DoorDash way too much during that.
Yeah,
Gyms were closed.
absolutely,
Right there.
absolutely.
Delivery was free for the longest time.
Take advantage of that.
Got way too used to it, unfortunately. um, you can have an unlimited supply of one thing for the rest of your life. What do you choose?
So if it's like a material thing, maybe like I'm always losing like my chapstick, so maybe just like have an unlimited supply
Yeah.
of chapstick, or like toilet paper,
Hey,
just so you don't. Especially now,
yeah,
the first few months of the pandemic, it was like impossible to find anywhere. So maybe that. But if it's like a non-material thing, maybe like a virtue, maybe like patience. I
that
can
would be
be impatient, so having unlimited patience would be
that'd
very
be
helpful.
that's the first response we've kind of had of that because everything everyone's like, oh, I'd have this or I'd have this and in my pocket all the time. You don't ever really think about it as like a immaterial thing, like like patience.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, definitely that.
If you could watch a movie again for the first time, what would it be and why?
Hmm. This one's tough too because I love movies. I'm a big movie buff. Um, One that comes to mind is the trilogy, the Dark Knight trilogy,
Okay.
with Christian Bale. That's one of my favorite series of all time. So I still remember like watching those movies for the first time, and like the endings were like,
Yeah.
like being in the movie theater, like, oh my gosh. And so, yeah, I would probably say those or that trilogy.
So would you consider yourself more Marvel or DC person?
Oh, I'm Marvel 100%.
100%.
Yeah, I love Marvel. Yeah, I've seen all of those movies like
Million
countless
times.
times. Yeah.
If you could be immortal, what age would you choose to stop aging at and why?
Hmm. So I would hope I could say like the best is yet to come. So maybe like I'll be like, just every year we'll get better, and maybe I would be like, I'll be good. I would be fine if I had to stay this age forever. But kind of looking back, also it would be like knowing, I guess now, like growing up, going back to like a child, like of
Uh-huh.
no worries, no responsibilities. It would be kind of nice to
That,
to
that
maybe be stuck there for a while, like just hanging out.
I think we all take it for granted. You're like, I miss, complaining about naps every day.
Right, exactly. I remember in kindergarten, like I hated nap time. I
Oh,
was like, I want to be playing, and now I'm like, can we please have nap time?
just 5 minutes. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. We should incorporate that into the workday.
Oh yeah, I'm with you on that.
Exactly.
What is the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Hmm. One thing that comes to mind is about failure. So a failure is not a failure if or a failure is only a failure if a lesson is not learned.
I like that. I like
So
that a lot.
I think failure is inevitable in anything in life, pretty much. And so knowing that that's how we learn is a good lesson for everyone. Because sometimes we try so hard to like be perfect and to always want it to go this way, but
Yeah.
sometimes you learn more by failing at something.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. That reminds me. One of my favorite movies as a kid was I think it was a Disney movie. I think it was Meet the Robinsons, and that was like the
Mm-hmm.
big thing of the movie. It's like like you learn more from failure than like had you won or had you figured it out the first time, you wouldn't have learned anything. But like since you failed, you learned that wasn't just keep
Exactly.
forward.
Yeah, that's the one with the inventions, right? All the inventions.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, exactly. So
I like
that's a good connection.
that. If you could, or no, what is something that you got away with as a child that your family still doesn't know about?
I'm like, who's listening to those? um, I don't know about this one. So one thing that comes like a story that comes to mind is recently when we were talking, or I was talking to my sisters, and we were talking about things that we did as little kids that like our parents didn't know about. And I'm the youngest, and I have two older sisters, and they said that like when I was a baby, that they would like play doctor, and they got into my mom's stuff one day, and that they actually like were poking me with like a needle, and my mom had no idea, and she overheard it. She was like, y'all did what? And so that's one thing. They would always just torture me, and she had no clue. So it's not really something I did, but that we did together, I guess, and I was just there.
You always got into trouble with with your siblings and whatnot.
Exactly. My poor mother.
If you could write a book that was guaranteed to be a bestseller, what would you write?
So I would probably maybe go back to like the series that I liked growing up, and maybe if like I could write just a sequel to any of those. Like I love Harry Potter. I used to love the Twilight series back
Yeah,
in the day. So like maybe just like if I would be able to write one of those and I would know it would be a hit, that would be cool.
that would be cool. Like get the perfect ending that you want to like. Oh,
Right, exactly.
yeah,
Exactly, yeah.
that'd be cool. Would you rather live under the ocean or on the moon?
Probably on the moon, just at first. feel like I've always wanted to go to space. That would be cool. So
Yeah, that would be.
why not?
I think that would be a little more scary in my
I
opinion.
was about to say that. I'm like, I don't think anybody really knows what's under there.
I don't want to.
Yeah, exactly. I don't even want to find out. So, maybe the moon for now.
Yeah. Do you have any hidden talents?
Not really. I don't think so. I feel like this is kind of weird. I feel like I'm good at untying knots.
Hey, that's fair.
Maybe not like big knots, but like if somebody has a piece of jewelry like super tangled,
Yeah.
I can get in there really nice.
Hey,
So,
we
that's
need
kind of weird, but
we need
yeah.
those kind of people out there. I know I can do it. I sit there and fidget and I get.
Exactly. So that's
Uh,
kind of something.
what was your total freshman move in undergrad?
Like like a style or I don't, what do you mean?
And this, when we come to camp, as a freshman, you come to campus, you're like, everything's just brand new, and you're like, you ask like a silly question or something like that.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I get that,
Let me
it's
think.
not really a silly question if it's a legitimate question, like,
Yeah, trying to think. I had a really good college experience. I loved my college experience, but I was super lost. Like, I mean, didn't know left from right. Like, because I had never, like, I didn't know anyone on campus. I didn't go to college with any of my friends. Um, so being probably just lost
lost.
for half of the semester was just my move, just asking everyone like where stuff was. So that was my move.
See, I think I can go with that too. Mine was really like I was just really afraid to ask my professors anything. I was like, they're gonna get mad at me. They're gonna call me stupid, kind of thing. Or like, I
Yes,
didn't like
I feel that.
yeah, that imposter syndrome.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I'll never forget my first college class was a biology class of 400 people.
Oh wow.
It was insane, and I was like, what did I just get myself into?
Yeah,
Like, I was really overwhelmed. I was like, this is not it. And so it was very intimidating asking professors and going up to them for sure.
that's crazy.
So that's what I love about ASU and the students here. I feel like they have such a great opportunity to overcome, those insecurities a lot faster than most students, because the small classrooms and the professors and things like that.
Well, for sure. And I forget about that a lot. And I'm like, college is like this everywhere. And like, I talk to my friends who are at like tech or something, and they're like, oh, I have a class with like 60 other people. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I didn't have, that was one of my largest, the 400 one. But other than that, I mean, I didn't have classrooms smaller than, oh man, like a small class for me was like 30.
Oh
Like
wow.
that was small. I was like, yeah. I was like, oh, I can know everyone in this
Yeah.
class. Yeah.
What has been the best part of this semester?
Hmm. So I think of the ice day that we had. That was fun.
That honestly
um,
was really cool because
yeah, I didn't expect it. It kind of came out of nowhere, I feel like. And I don't know, I feel like it kind of reminded me of being like a little kid, like waiting for the announcement that school was canceled and going back to bed. So it was nice. I love snow day, ice days, whatever you want to call it. We don't really get much snow here, but
it was a surprise. It was a nice surprise.
yeah, absolutely.
What trait? Well, I guess this one is kind of different for you. What would you say would be your trait? What trait defines your style of instruction? I guess this is more oriented to
Yes, for
profession,
faculty. Yeah, so I definitely don't teach.
but
So I guess my style of advising maybe, or
yeah, that would be good.
okay. So I mean, I feel like I'm always telling my students that one of the things to get through this is that you have to have a balance between being humble enough to know that you're going to struggle and this is going to be hard. College is difficult and you're dealing with a lot, and so being humble enough to know that you don't know everything right away, but also having the confidence in yourself to keep going and to build that resilience, because you're probably going to get knocked down a couple times, but you have to keep going.
Oh, for sure. And thank you for being that kind of advisor that kind of like does it as students, because I know I would have, 2 years ago I would have needed it because I was like, oh, I'm smart, I can do this and this. I'm like,
Yes,
So
Yeah, well, I'm glad you kind of reflect back on that because especially the incoming students, there's a lot of that mentality like, oh, I don't need help, I got this. Like I was a straight A student in high school, like tutoring, whatever. That's so I feel like that you have to be humble enough, but also like if you make an F on a test or whatever, like it's okay, like keep going, like
make the change happen.
exactly.
What current fact about your life would impress your 5-year-old self?
Hmm. Probably everything. I mean, I feel like as a 5-year-old,
Yeah.
like I like I have a 5-year-old niece, and she thinks I'm like the coolest person ever. So I don't think it takes much to impress a 5-year-old. Fortunately, so it's like, oh, you have a cool car, you have cool shoes, you have, So um, sometimes it's good to look at life in that lens, because
Yeah,
sometimes we're too harsh on ourselves. So
I like
so
that.
in any little thing.
Um, if you could have any superpower, what would it be?
hmm. I'd probably say invisibility. I've always thought that was cool. Just I feel like that's just useful. You couldn't hide from people if you
Oh
like, like I'm a big introvert, so I think that would be, just invisibility.
yeah,
Or
definitely.
maybe like teleportation. I feel like that would just
Yeah.
be super handy, for visiting people and going places. So
You never have to buy flights again. You can just, I'm gonna go
exactly,
to
yeah,
Cabo.
that would be
Yeah,
awesome.
so much money.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, what was an event that seemed to start awfully but ended up being great?
I'm a big sports fan, so I have to think back to the Super Bowl. I
Yeah.
think it was like Super Bowl 51 or
Uh,
something with the Patriots and the Falcons.
okay.
I'm a big Tom Brady fan as well. And so that started off like disastrous. And, they came back and it was like one of the most epic comebacks of like Super Bowl history. So
There you
that
go.
was definitely,
Like
you know,
that is a good example. I was like, I never like really came at it with the sports kind of.
yeah, you're never out. Don't ever underestimate anyone. So
Yeah.
good lesson.
Um, if all your furniture sprang to life, Beauty and the Beast style, which piece of furniture would you be scared of the most?
Kind of looking around and like,
You're like, who would not want?
what would scare me? I always think of the that Home Alone scene where he goes down into the basement and like that
The
furnace scares
furnace.
him.
That is
And
scary.
so maybe like I have like a little space heater. So maybe if this space heater came to life, it would be spooky.
I don't think I'd want to talk to my heaters either. I think they'd be
Right?
a little bit too much.
Yeah. They'd have some anger issues.
Yeah. Which trap? It's funny you brought up Home Alone. Which trap in Home Alone was the best in your opinion?
So I've obviously watched Home Alone a lot. I love Home Alone. It's like a classic. Like that movie will never get old.
Uh huh.
Let me think. So I always think of the scream that Marv does when they put the
Yeah.
tarantula on him. Like that scream is just like I just go back and rewind the way he screams when that spider's on him. So I think that was a good one.
That one, and then when he gets, I think the bald one. I don't remember his name, but
Oh, Harry.
Harry. Yeah. I can't remember if it's the first one or the second one where he screams because the blowtorch like sets his
Oh yeah.
head.
Yes. Yeah, man, those movies are epic. Yeah. Like everything that happens to them. I'm like, how are they still alive?
Would you rather live 100 years in the past or 100 years in the future?
I would say the past for sure. I feel like I always tell my mom I was born like in the wrong decade or whatever.
Uh,
I'm kind of an old soul, so
uh,
I would like the simplicity a little bit more of life back then, I think.
okay.
So
Okay.
That would for now I would say that. But there's also good things, coming and
Oh,
we
yeah.
made a lot of progress for sure.
I think it's
But
hard. That's a hard decision either way, like
exactly.
pros and cons. I guess this kind of goes back to like our space one. Would you join a community in space if it was permanent? It couldn't
Like
come.
in outer space?
Yeah, in outer space, you couldn't come back.
Oh wow. Oh man, that's tough. I mean, I would probably just say no off the bat.
Yeah.
Like, because if it's permanent, then maybe not. I feel like the food would get really old after a while.
Yeah.
So things like that. But if I didn't have any other choice, maybe I think I would definitely want to go to space. I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
But maybe not for a long time.
Yeah. All right. So we finished up our questions. My last question to you is, who would you like to nominate, or who would you like to see on El Cafecito next time?
So I work with some really good people.
Uh-huh.
So I feel like off the top of my head, I work with Dr. Andrea Robledo.
She actually nominated you.
Did she? Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Look, where this synergy between us is
there
just.
You go.
So do I have to pick another one?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. Like I said, so I work with some awesome people. So another person that I work closely with she's another advisor actually,
Okay.
and it's Cece Hernandez.
Okay. We'll have to give an email then.
Yeah. So
sure.
she's awesome. So
Awesome.
I would say her.
Well, this was great. Thank you for being on here with us today. It was great.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was fun.
Of course. And thank you everyone for tuning into this edition of El Cafecito. Be sure to tune in next time. Bye.